Now we're at the Pocasset Ridge, which is basically a little highland in southeastern Rhode Island. This plant here is Ficaria verna. It's a horribly invasive plant. And it just forms a ground cover. And it basically stops any other spring ephemerals from blooming in these swampy lowlands because they just take over. Flora rose, another horrible invasive. And we got Rubus phaeniculatus right there. Rubus occidentalis, or the black raspberry. These ones are the native ones. They have these kind of blue stems. Glycoma hederatica. This is an invasive mint family plant. Forms a ground cover and smells weird. I have a plant in the genus Urtica, or stinging nettle. These things will give you owie hurts if you touch them, with all those urticating hairs. These snowdrops. It's a non-native bulb. But they don't really spread outside of where they're planted. They just slowly get larger, I guess. The leaf of a red oak. This one is nice looking. Smilax forest. There's the holly, and there's the smilax. Goodness gracious. Forming an impenetrable thicket. Here we have Thuja occidentalis, or the northern white cedar. These are typically found more in really high elevations and high latitudes. So I'm thinking this is a planted specimen, or it's seeded from a local tree. It's a pretty old one, probably 20 or 30 years old. There's a few more throughout the forest. There's another one out there too. Beautiful wall. Nice construction on this one. Like 4.5 feet tall. Got some grapevine on it. So this is Virginia creeper. Cool. Invasive Gallonicera japonica, and then we also have the invasive ligustrum privet. Both of them brought in by, landscaping. What a wonderful thing to know. Juniperus virginiana here, or the eastern red cedar, typical of old pasture lands. We have the beautiful Chimaphila maculata, or the striped wintergreen, white flowers in June. The non-native Verbascum thapsus. These are yellow flowers in the summer, and it's weird to see it kind of trying to bloom. I mean, it's likely gonna die, but it's fuzzy leaves. You can use it as teepee if you need to. Doesn't really do much for the wildlife, but it's neat. Interesting conglomerated sedimentary rock. So it's basically looks like round river stones deposited in the matrix of mud, and then cooked and smushed for a while. Interesting. I've been seeing this. I'm like, all right, maybe that's not real, but it's looking like it's real because, I mean, no one would make this much concrete and then just dump it. Look at that one. Damn. Yeah, this is really what it looks like. That's awesome. First part of the path here follows the swamp in the backyards of a bunch of rich housing. Upper middle class. Normal folks, but folks that, they have a little bit to spend. And they hire, lawn companies and hedge companies. I mean, one over there had a pure hedge of privet. And that's one of the main invasive plants in here. It's sad, but it is what it is. It's how society is. Oh look, Phragmites. Vine here, Celestris orbicalis. Growing up and choking out this dead ash tree. It's a common invasive, but this is your typical kind of semi-invasive, semi-degraded, mostly degraded prior pasture land, or after logging, or just areas that are close to housing like it is over there. They tend to be pretty crap. Look, it's poison ivy. Toxidendron radicans growing up on this maple. There's your hairy stick. Nice little swamp here. We have Dodecon, or Decodon verticulatus, or swamp loosestrife. These are pink flowers. They're beautiful. And it's a nice native swamp plant. And it's in a swamp. Nice burly maple over there. It's a red maple over there. Acer rubrum. Cardinal flower. That is Lobelia cardinalis, and you also have Scutularia latifolia, or the side-flowering skullcap. It is in the mint family, and it has little blue, tiny flowers on it. And these ones have beautiful red flowers on it. Right next to it, we have a Lycopus, which each of these is like a little tuft of white flowers that are small. They're as big as those little capsules themselves. And then it has a distinct leaf arrangement that I wouldn't be able to use words to describe. Arborus umbergii, another common landscape plant. Pokey and just takes over wetlands. Some awesome Nyssa sylvatica, or the black tupelo. Awesome tree, red foliage, super sour berries. Common swamp plant. Common swamp tree. We have a sphagnum moss, one of a few different species native to this area. Thudium delicatum, another common moss. Common and present Clethra onifolia, or the sweet pepper bush, typical of Rhode Island and just southern swampy areas. Nice Corylus cornuta, or the beaked hazelnut, and there's the beaked hazelnut. It's a wonderful birch family plant. These are the catkins, yellow danglers. That's in a few weeks, and then this little guy is going to be the pink poof that catches the pollen from other plants. It's an awesome shrub, and I saved a bunch from a property out in Connecticut. About good old Linderna benzoin. Beautiful yellow flowers in April. Love these. And then here, Ilex opaca, of course. There's yellow birch, Spatula allegensis, right here. Dendrolycopodium obscurum. It's not really common around here. It's here and there. Right now we're getting into the highlands. It's looking pretty nice. Your typical kind of oak briar forest. Not the most diverse thing in the world, but you know, it's typical. Look, we got an Australia virginiana, or the hop hornbeam birch family plant, or birch family tree. It's a small shade tree. Dendrolycopodium obscurum. It's not really common around here. It's here and there. About good old Linderna benzoin. Beautiful yellow flowers in April. Love these. And then here, Ilex opaca, of course. There's yellow birch, Spatula allegensis, right here. The presence of these three trees, the white oak, the red oak, and the hop hornbeam, basically makes this an oak birch forest. And you'll get your occasional beeches. I wouldn't be surprised if I found a lot of black birch up here. I mean, we got the Carpinus carolinea too. That's another birch family plant. We have the Corylus down there, another birch one. It's a oak birch land, typical of more wet habitats, whereas dry habitats are more like oak laurel land. Weird calicladium looking thing. I don't know what it is, but it's not Calicladium imponens. And it's not Haldinium. It's not beautiful branches, not the brocade. It's something else. Potentiala canadensis, little yellow flowered rose plant, rose family plant. Rosaceae, kind of looks like a little strawberry flower, except doesn't make any strawberries. These forests were affected by the gypsy moths, or the spongy moths, because we got a lot of dead oaks up here. It's typical of Rhode Island upland to be briars and dead oaks with some maples. This is a common habitat. The only difference here is that there are more American holly. Onifolia is dominant here, though. It is still a major component of the uplands. Unlike other like Connecticut areas, like Clethra stops pretty much in the lowlands. Like once you get into the highlands like this, it's either mountain laurel, or it's just greenbrier, or it's black huckleberry. It's just a difference, I guess, in the temperature and I guess the rainfall of this area. It could be more, it could be less, but for whatever reason, this habitat is more
moist rather than that one. Or the one, we know what I'm talking about, all the way out there. The old sassafras albidium right there. And then we got your young ones, young bucks, young sassafras. This is the age you typically see them at. Usually they're not. I mean, the little branches die readily. You get a good look at one, walk a few steps. I don't see anymore, but yeah, you get the point. Sassafras. The beautiful Lyonia ligostrina, another ericaceous shrub. These will be little white flowers in May, and they turn into these capsules. And it has these big leaves. It's a nice blueberry family shrub. The blueberry namesake of the blueberry family, the highbush blueberry. Wonderful plant. I like how they grow too, kind of get this vase-shaped form. Wherever they grow, if they're growing in the woods or if they're growing out in the meadow, they have this awesome vase-shaped form. It's beautiful. We have Atrichum, and then we have Lyanthemum canadens, the Canada Mayflower. The beautiful basal rosettes of whitewood aster. Just coming up, they always take on this wonderful blue, just awesome blue-green color, and it's shimmery. And then you look at the backside, just this dark purple. It's one of my favorite little basal rosette plants. You got the lazula here, looking like some desert plant. I love it. One of the small-fruited dicantheliums, or just small in general, and that's a deer tongue grass. It's distinct, but I don't know the exact species because there's several of them that look like this. So I wish there was just I could just call it a group, small dicantheliums, Because there's, I don't know, there's a few. I think there might be half dozen. Let me look. Freaking 20 of these. There's 20 different dicantheliums, and they all have slightly different forms and slightly different fruit. And you see one, you see variations of them all. Common grass genus. I do not know what it is. I just know it's a grass, and it's distinct. It's very distinct. It has this blue glossy green foliage and little hairs on it. And then when it's dead, it's all squiggly. It's the only one that does that. Or it might be one of a few, but it's definitely a group of them that does that. Your beautiful branch moss, and there's your Calicladium imponens. Oh my god. Calicladium haldanium. Oh my gosh. And then Thudium delicatum. Look, these ones are the big common three. And they're lovely. Look how it's glowing. My favorite. Especially it's not even, it's cloudy out and it's still glowing. It's fluorescent. It's beautiful. We have Carex pennsylvaticum, or Pennsylvania sedge, or at least in the group of the Pennsylvania sedges that are small and wispy like this. Foot wide red oak here. Heading towards the cliff trail in this greenbrier birch maple oakland. Reached a peak, and the dominant plant is greenbrier, just like it is out in Lyme, Connecticut, out in eastern Connecticut. Nicella repens, or partridge berry, growing in this somewhat open shade of this greenbrier oakland. Beautiful glacial erratic. We have Polypodium virginiatum, or the rock polypody. Look how nice. Massive glacial erratic. This is a giant boulder that was pushed here. Same thing with all these. Glacial erratic is covered with Eulata crispa, or pincushion moss. It's a common moss. You see it everywhere. It's a Eulata. It's on every boulder. Making these things look like planets. I love it. A hickory of some sort right here, so that means there's a hickory tree nearby. We just gotta find it. So we can take pictures of the bark, and then no one will ever identify it. But they are pretty distinct on iNaturalist. Their barks are different. I just
I'm still trying to remember. Where the heck is this hemlock at? Is it that tree? No, the maple. That's a maple. It's a beech, red oak. Well, the net couldn't have fallen too far from the source. Maybe this one? Nope. That's an oak. Yeah. Or is it? Ooh. I don't know what this is. It might be an oak. Be a wet briar forest. So it's typical to like clethra briar lowlands, except it's just briar instead of clethra and briar. So it's you get some more species, some ferns, but it's mainly this is an airwood right here. That's cool. Then we got little musselwoods and australias, oaks. Can't find that hickory though. Oh, this is awesome. Oh, cool. It's a feather bush. Eubotry's racemosa growing in the shade. It's a proof of concept. These can grow in the shade. Oh my gosh, that's awesome. This is a very old specimen. It's probably like 30 or 40, if not 50 years old. It takes them a while to get to this size, but God, they are nice. Beautiful. So these little things will be a line of little white flowers that dangle straight down, and then they turn into these capsules, and it just has this orange color in the fall. It's such an awesome shrub. Unique leaf pattern too. It's distinct, you know, it's not like out of this world like bright red or whatever, but it's distinct. It's a distinct acquired texture, except it's not an acquired texture. It's a native texture. It doesn't need any work, you know? You don't have to maintain it like a privet or whatever. Ah, that doesn't ever get old. Got some dicranum on that rock over there. Oak leaves. Greenbrier out in the distance. Right there. Nice. Red oak right here. You can see a musselwood. That's what those little leaves are. Oh, flaky white oaks. That is awesome. Oh my god, that's cool. Ancient, probably well over 100 years. Probably, maybe 150. But this hill was never pasteurized. It's always been a forest where they gather with. Look at the size of that beech! Oh my god! That thing's 3.5 feet around. Goodness, that is a big beech. You typically find beeches, like the average one I see, is like half the size. Like on average, this is the largest size tree I see. Maybe 2, if not 1.5 feet wide. Up to 2.5, but that's like the mature size, except a little bit shorter. But this beech is tremendous. Oh my goodness. It's not affected by beech bark disease either. Oh my god, it's beautiful. Alright, we're gonna get a size comparison of this massive beech shoot. So I'm 5'7". Alright? This thing's 4 feet wide. Because if I laid down, it would be probably a little bit below my shoulder. So, 4 feet wide. This thing is old growth. This thing is probably 200 years old. Wow. That thing's a beaut. That thing's awesome. Some nice habitat right there. I love mossy rocks and little creeks and shady yellow birch. This is a fern forest in the summer. This thing gets loaded. There's a nice American holly right there. Beautiful creek.
covered in dicranum. Not ulata like the other one. Look how fucking magnificent. Ah, glowing. Ah, dicranum. And then you got this weird thing, which I see like going down from dicranum, so it might just be like the young form of dicranum, because the dicranum seemed to colonize it. But sometimes you only see these. Are these just a young version of dicranum? I have no clue, but I always see them together. But they have obvious different hues. That doesn't ever get old. Dicranum and ulata, just glowing. You tend to appreciate the only green things in the forest. Because, like, you know, you can look at the brown, wow, it's so brown. Or, you know, the gray, wow, that is just so gray in the shadows, you know, that's just so shady. But, you know, nothing beats that. That says green. Same thing with these guys, the American holly. A better way to look at them is like from this angle. Oh yeah. Distinct plant, American holly, Ilex opaca, just beautiful. In the greenbrier uplands. Juniperus virginiana looks when it's young. It takes on the spiky kind of red, blue, green, blue, red and blue, red and pink? What would you call that color? Anyways, that red and kind of light color, that pink, I don't know what to call it. But anyways, it's flushing because it's cold, and it's also because it's a natural defense. Because when they're young, they're spiky. And they fill their tips with, like, what do you call it? More nutrients? I don't know. They make them taste bad. Whereas like a nice green branch like that, which it turns into, and you can see the process, how it does so right here. Because as these small ones age, they get kind of narrower. Like look down on this one. Like they unfurl almost. So these just have yet to unfurl, I guess. They're basically like the ready to grow bits, and then you got a old fellow right here with some oaks, another American holly, smilax, various sedges on the ground. We have a little cladonia, basically a deer moss lichen. They're shrubby, but it's just another cladonia because there's like 46 species, and I just can't really remember. I wish they were just sorted into groups. Like shrubby ones should be with shrubby ones, and trumpet ones should be with trumpet ones, and scaly ones should be with scaly ones. Instead, they're all like, all right, everything's really distinct and different looking, and there's a few variations on these kind of ones, and a few variations on each one. So why not put them into their own little groups? It just doesn't make much sense to me. Old dicranum right here. I love dicranum. Poofy, broom moss. Love it. Umbilicaria mammulata, the smooth rock tripe. There's one that's similar called Lacelia papulosa. That one's called the toad skin. So, you know, I'm going to think this one's the frog skin lichen. That's better than smooth rock tripe. I mean, 'cause that's what it is, but I like frog skin lichen and toad skin lichen. You know, you call the other one by a frog, boom, this one, you're picking up what I'm putting down. Look at all these little beautiful cladonias. Multi-stemmed beast of an oak. Holy crap. Each branch is like, that one's 1.5 feet, that one's 1.5 feet, this one's 2 feet, this one's 2 feet, that one's 2 feet, this one's 3 feet. And the base of it's right down there, right at that crag. This used to be an old pasture tree, because there is some pasture land. Typically, flat areas like this became pasture land. And there are likely little blue stem pasture lands too. If there's other glades like this, they probably have little blue stem. Or it was always just like a forested pasture land, because like a oak savanna per se. And there was sedges and whatnot in between the greenbrier. Alrighty, I think it'll stay. This is the Big Daddy Chongo oak. It's a big old boy, probably 5 feet around. It's a pasture oak, multi-stemmed. It's a big one, probably over 200 years old. There's a little geocache by it too. Going down a cliff of granite into a swamp. There's American holly, and this is a granite cliff. Pretty sure it's granite. I don't think it's sedimentary. I know lower down there's sedimentary, or maybe further that way. Like I'm right at the border between sedimentary and granite. Plethora lowland here. We got squirrels. Making squirrel noises for him. Here he is. He's quick. He's running off. Squirrels. Quick granite. All that blue-green is all lichen. Almost the entire tree is covered in lichen. We got all these squirrels running around. Big triple red oak. I was just up there looking at the view. We have a Pruna serotina, or a black cherry. Beautiful humid cliffside. Got dicranum. We got lichens. These are the umbilicarias. There's Polypodium virginianum up there, the rock polypody. A nice maple coming out. A lot of water to keep this kind of habitat up and running. Especially a maple on a cliff. Typically they need wetlands to survive, or a lot of soil. This one's tapping into likely what is a wash from the uplands that kind of just goes through. Could even be like a small seep that it taps into, where the uplands drain into the lowlands. You can see there's whitewood aster, another kind of brook plant right here. You can just make it out. Let's see, get that angle better. All right, right here. You see it kind of blowing in the wind? That's whitewood aster, Yerbia diviridica. Its basal rosette is somewhere in the crack. Lit up, these are glowing blue-green. Oh, that's awesome. So the American beech here. There's American holly growing in the crack of the beech. Ah, look how just beautiful its roots are. That's a gorgeous tree. Growing right on the glade. On the vertical glade. Look, we got beautiful Chimaphila maculata up here. Oh my gosh. Such a gorgeous plant. More into that sedimentary layer. You can see all the nodules and small rounded stones in this huge rock here. See that? That's a granite rock. This came from a past, like riverbed that was just flattened. Isn't that awesome? Sedimentary mudstone. River rock. That's what these are, a little rounded. So cool. A borderland. A sloped borderland. These areas typically have very deep soil in the crevasses and then super thin soil on the rocks. So big trees survive, but it's really only big trees. There's barely any herbaceous layer. Then you got a swamp here. Slimplocarpus viatitis, or the skunk cabbage. Mossy beach here. Thing's about 2.5 feet wide. Covered in Fluiana, or scalewort. And then at the bottom we have Calcladium and some dicranums. Land. Kinda love it. Land. Kinda love it. A little peak of 170 feet. I think it gets a little higher. About 2 miles from the coast, if that. More like 11 miles from the, the exact beach, But I'm only like a few miles from the Narragansett Bay over there. Probably only like 2. I wouldn't be surprised if that's the water body you're seeing over there. It's the bay. And then that hill further on, that is Newport. Pick dead oak right here. This thing's massive. Australia growing right out of the rocks. That's awesome. Beautiful bark on that. And then we got yellow birch growing right out of the rocks, as well as a small hickory. And up there, we got yellow birch, we got a hickory. That's so cool. Going up this boulder slope. It's fun. Moving the feet and using your arms and hunching over. And then just getting to flat areas as you climb. Your heart starts beating. It's like walking the bleachers, except it's sketchier. This is all Virginia creeper. Parthenosis, I think. Rock polypodes. Lots of cladonia lichens. Got oak trees. Look at the size of this oak tree. Or oak leaf. Variation on a theme. Oh yeah, you can see the bay. That's awesome. Alright. Got New York friend. Amora pelta nova boreensis. We have black huckleberry. Red flowers in the spring, which is in May and April. It's going to be very beautiful. Bright red foliage in the fall on this one. Almost to the top. Oh yeah. Got some snow up here still. There we are. At the tippity top. And that's nice. Here, it's just as much as I thought it'd be. A nice view. But it's a Greenbrier oak beachland with the occasional American holly. So I'm gonna head back down to my little view area, eat a snack, and head my way back. So I get to traverse this rocky boulder slope one more time. Maybe I'll go down the north side, see what's over there, or east side. Interestingly, I have not seen a single black birch any time on this hike. They're just absent from this habitat. What is here instead is yellow birch, typically in eastern Connecticut / most of southwest Rhode Island. Like, you're gonna find black birch, so it's really weird not seeing it. Heading more towards the west slope. Compared to the east slope, which is just kind of like clethra, the west slope is almost pure green briar, which is a theme of southeast New England. Oh, there's a briar in my boot and I stomped on it. That hurts. Where is it? Alright, it's still in there. There we are. Right in between my big toe and my foot. That sucked. Alright, we're continuing. I think the path is right here. Just gotta struggle through this habitat. Just gotta do the high step. There we are, underneath the beach. Where it's a little shadier. Nice little American hollies. Ooh, nice marcescens. Berries on Smilax rotundifolia. So the flowers are just this little umbel of little teeny tiny lily-shaped flowers that are green and inconspicuous, hidden by the massive round leaves. I mean, by massive, I mean like they're like palm-sized, like inside of the palm. And these, they taste like a mealy, tasteless potato, and then they make your tongue hurt. So I don't recommend. You can't eat them. You can also boil it has a big old tuber. It's like a staple food, I guess, and it's everywhere. Back to that little glade view area. Back, there is black birch, Betuolenta. It's a big one right here, and almost completely dead. About 2.5 feet around, next to an oak. Got a white-tailed deer. See if you can see him run. So what you just heard was a woodcock's or timberdoodle's mating, I guess, sound. So you heard that mate, that was its call, and then that tee kind of thing was it's like it was doing like kind of a flyby and making that noise, little mating display.